All right. We got Paul
The
jamming
music's
out
fire. It's
to
in
the
all the clubs
intro.
now.
Yeah,
I don't know
you
if you
got you
noticed, like all the clubs in New York and LA have copied our music, and they're just playing that on
just
loop.
crazy.
It's fire.
Yeah, girls dancing on speakers, the whole 9 yards.
The kids love it.
So how's it going today, Mr. Paul Brown?
I'm wonderful. It's a beautiful day to have a beautiful day.
It is. It's not
So
here. I
that's what I'm
lied.
gonna do. I'm gonna have
I,
a beautiful day on this beautiful day.
I lied. I just had to like salt my entire driveway that is like literally a sheet of ice. So it is not beautiful here, but I'll agree with you. At
Yeah,
least
yesterday I
it's
did that.
sunny.
I was up in Michigan and had to drive down to Chicago for my flight, and it was just they were just starting to get ice, and it was like starting to cover the roads, and like the cars were covered in ice, and I'm like, okay, so I bailed about an hour and a half earlier than I wanted to, just because simply the VP of the group is like, he's like, you should probably get going.
Yeah, right.
He goes, this could get worse, and I'm like, oh, okay, but yeah, I was in
Yeah,
it
I
for
just
about
went through a
45 minutes, and I drove out of it, so it was kind of okay.
Yeah, just before we did a coach call this morning, I went through a 30-pound bag of salt on that, and it took the entire 30-pound bag to do my driveway, my entrance to my house, and my sidewalks. So when I
Jeez.
say it's like it literally looks like somebody ran water over top of it and it just like turned to ice because I wasn't at home all yesterday after we had got ice, so I didn't get a chance to snow blow anything. So it just solidified and it was fantastic. So don't want anybody killing themselves on my sidewalk. So I at least was going to put forth the effort to make sure that they
The
didn't.
good news is if they do, their body will slide down the
There is a
driveway into the
downward
street, so you can be like,
yeah,
"That didn't happen on my property."
yeah. Next person down, they actually got hurt where they stopped, not where
Right.
not where they started.
Yeah, up to
Yep.
that point, the incident was in progress. It's
Yeah,
where they stop is where it actually happened.
exactly. So today is episode number 5. Okay, number 5. There's a Roman numeral for that, like it's like the V and stuff. It's good
Yeah.
stuff. Today is Paralysis by Analysis is the title for today. So it's kind of a two-parter. It's actually backwards. For those of you that saw the initial portion of this week's Coach's Corner, we actually had our first of our interviews with Adam Marburger this week. And kind of as I talked about then, and I'll kind of say it again, this is not meant to be an infomercial for us in our company, right? That's not the intent of this. We're only going to have our team members on when it makes sense. The reason that we had Adam on was a couple reasons. He participated in Public Policy Day 2025, which we thought was really important to have him come on and talk with the people there that are watching us here about what that was, and then also to discuss his new book. So for those of you that saw the initial one, you'll have that already. You've seen it. For those of you that are listening or watching on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, I'll get these in order at one point in time. Spotify, Apple Podcast, and YouTube. You will get it at the end of this. So when I put this live later on those different sites today, that will be at the end of it. So we'll start out with just me and Paul here, and then you're going to see an interview that I taped with Adam a little bit earlier. So why paralysis by analysis? Well, like we said with everything in this, it's all going to be based on the interactions that me and Paul have throughout the weeks, right? Is generally going to be what these are about. Whether it's us looking at things that have been in the news that we want to kind of talk about a little bit or things that have happened to us, that we can talk about with people and try and help them get better. That's the intent of this show, is to try and help everybody get better. So today is going to be paralysis by analysis. And it was about a couple of things that came across for me this week. And we'll start off with one of them. And I've actually got two short little stories that we'll get into what got me thinking about this. Is I'm a perfectionist, like really badly, and it gets into my own way a lot, right? I have a habit of where I don't want to do something unless I can do it 100% the way I want to. I've got like a mental block, right? That gets in my way of doing things. If there's something that I can't do it in a way or with the proper things that I want to have it be done with. And that may make sense a little bit more here as I talk about this, right? So a couple of weeks ago, we talked about one of my challenges as I transitioned from being in the retail side to the side that I'm on now was going to be cold calling, right? I knew this was going to be an issue for me as I got into this side of the business, right? And a lot of the reason that I knew it was going to be an issue was that perfectionist side of me, Paul, was the
Yep.
fact that I knew that if I'm going to go up and I'm going to cold call somebody and I know I don't know enough, and like we've talked about this in an episode before, I'm going to feel dumb, right? Like I'm not going to feel like I am up to the challenge of talking to them. But what I really found out was after I've just kind of got out there and done it, is that you really just needed to know enough to be dangerous, right? And then the rest of it is going to come along with it. It's just getting out of your own way. I know that was kind of the point of last week's episode, but it really is getting out of your own way, especially if you're a person that is a perfectionist, is one of the most important things that you guys can do. And it's one of the things that can also hold you back the most, right? And in my case, that's the thing that it does with me, is that a lot of times it holds me back. I don't do things that I think that I probably should, because I don't feel like I can do it in the way that I want to be seen, right? And
Yeah.
it can be difficult. You got any insight onto that, Paul?
I think in this industry, a lot of us struggle with that. And it's just something that it's something that we got to kind of just get up and deal with every day. And the thing that I look at when I do that stuff, because there's some things that I'm really good at, but there's so many things that I'm not great at. And what I do is when I'm doing those things, I really just kind of try to look around for who's doing those same things and just see what they're doing. And some of it is just being prepared for certain things. I mean, one of the things that we you know talked about, Adam and I talked about at length when we started this agency, was getting up in front of a room where you might have 75 to, in some cases, 200 finance people and managers, and doing a 2-day workshop. And in the beginning, I thought, this is not a big deal. I get up in front of my people and do meetings all the time, right? So basically the same thing. I'm up talking in front of a bunch of people. But there's a difference between looking out into the audience and seeing a bunch of faces that you know and seeing a bunch of people staring at you. And some of them
Right.
are excited because they're like, bring me some value, but most of them are up there going, why am I listening to this guy? Right. So then you just got to figure out a way to win them over. And that was one of the things that I really went to school off Adam, because he had more experience. He'd been doing workshops. So we just kind of sat down and flushed out what that looks like. And I would say that the biggest thing, you kind of hit on it earlier, is create a very robust game plan and just stick to it. I mean, when you understand something, nerves kind of go away. I
Right.
mean, it's one of the things we talk about when we're coaching F&I people all the time. When you're sitting in there, they always go, "Oh man, it's a cash deal. I don't want the cash deal." And I go to some stores where the guys or gals are going, "Oh, sweet, cash deal. Bring it on." Right? And the simple reason is that the reason that people grumble about a cash deal, or they grumble about a lease, or they grumble about that kind of stuff, is they feel inadequate and unprepared
Right.
to
Not
handle that
prepared to handle it.
situation. So if we know that we're going to do something and we get super, doesn't mean that we're going to perfect it, or we're going to knock the ball out of the park, or that it's even going to work, but it means that we'll have more confidence in doing what we're doing. And that's the most important thing, right? The most important thing is get out there and fall on your face, because that's how you learn.
It is.
I can't remember what it was, but I think Edison had something, it was ridiculous, like 5,000 versions of the light bulb before he got one that worked and was sustainable. It was like a ridiculous amount. And that's what everybody, like, if you look at anybody that's like really successful, that's an entrepreneur, that's doing anything really well, they don't go, "Oh yeah, I just picked it up and was able to do it." I mean, there's a few savants out there in the world, that just can sit down at some age and go, "Oh my gosh, I can just play piano," right? Very rare. But the rest of us, right, we got to figure it out, and we got to work at it, and then we got to fail. And I guess embracing that failure and embracing that struggle is the biggest thing, because it's going to happen. Doesn't matter how good you are. I mean, to this day, I think Adam and I, when we go into a dealer meeting, I don't know if there's a stronger duo than him and I when we're sitting in front of a dealer. I mean, we know each other so well, we play off each
Right.
other so well, we can almost finish each other's sentences, and we still go in and get no's a lot of the time. It's
Right.
just part of the game, folks. So don't be so worried about the negative outcome. The positive thing is, whatever you're doing, it doesn't matter what it is. If it's something personally, if it's something business wise, you are getting paid in experience. And every single time you do something, you get a little bit better at it. And it was funny because I was watching a show that just kind of like lends to this. I was watching a show on Discovery, and they were talking about spiders and the evolution of spiders, right? And how they kind of got to where they are. And the guy that was this, I can't remember what they call the people that study bugs.
Entomologist, I think.
Yep, that's it. And the guy said, he goes, well, here's the thing that most people don't understand. He goes, every time you kill a spider, you make the species as a species stronger, because you've killed the one that didn't notice the danger, that wasn't fast enough to run away, that didn't scatter when the lights came on. So you killed the weak ones. So the strong ones are in the corners watching.
Well, I don't like that answer. I don't like that answer.
Wait a second. So when we kill, so we should not kill the ones that we see and let them go breed because
Yeah,
they're
not
dumb?
happening. Listen, I'm not afraid of a lot of things. I am like generally not afraid of anything, to be honest. Like a lot of people that know me know that I have like an unhealthy lack of fear, right? But I am scared shitless of spiders. Like I'm not gonna lie. I am not going to take that guy's word, because if I see a spider, that thing is going to die. And what he says
burning
makes
down the
sense.
house.
But now I'm really upset about it because I'm going to be thinking that now some super spider is coming out
Right
after I kill this one. So I'm not excited about what you just said there.
I'm glad I could enrich your life in that way.
That is going to stick with me like all day today. Like I did not know that we were going to like work on my phobias today, but that one is definitely going to do it. But you had a good point there. It made me almost forget about what I wanted to say here. Was, learning from the mistakes is important, right? And like for me, that has been a hard part because I've spent so long knowing what I did, where I wasn't really, I would still run into spots where I'd learn new things, but like the basics of it I had down. So like I had already had all of those failures years ago, right?
Yeah.
So like to go into something where it's new, where it's like, man, the last time I failed this horribly on things, it was 20 years ago, right? So it's like, there were still times I failed. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying I didn't fail at things. I failed all the time, but it wasn't at a level at which you are when you're starting something.
Right.
So the one thing I would tell the people is when you're starting something, whether you're like me and you're going into something after you've already had a long career in what you're doing, or whether you're just starting out, to Paul's point, the best way to learn anything is through failure. We talk about that all the time, especially the two of us, because we do so much training. We can do training with people all day long, right? But none of that matters until they actually have it right in front of them and they get it done. It's like the Mike Tyson quote, everybody's got a plan until you get punched in the face, right?
Right.
And that's the case. It's, what are you going to do after that? We can train you all you want, right? But it's about what are you going to do when that situation happens. And the first time, you're not going to do it right, right?
No.
You're going to get punched in the face and probably get knocked out, right?
Yeah, you're not going to do it right the 50th time.
Right.
It takes hundreds of reps.
Right. And the nice part is, though, as long as you go into it with that attitude, and you got to reassure yourself, right? It's about not letting yourself get down. And that's kind of where we'll finish today's episode before we go to Adam's portion, is going to be about how you keep yourself up, because that can be the difficult part, right? And that's actually what's going to lead me into the second of my stories of this week. So as you all can see, we're doing these episodes here because I like to play around with technology, right? I like to make videos. I like audio. So all of this stuff, I do because I like to do it, right? So I've got to have good audio. I've got to have good video, going back to that perfectionist side of this, right? And all of this started because I like to make content and make it available for people to get better, right, Paul? Like that's where all of this started. So I would make videos, I would post them for people to help get better, with no other intention other than that. But for me, in order to feel like the content is good enough, I feel like it's got to be my level of production, which is wrong to think of it that way, right? It really is. Like I may actually know that that's wrong, but like I can't get that out of my head. Right. So I'd been sitting there thinking, because I'd been spending less time in my office and I'd been spending more time on the road. It's like, how do I do these things if I can't do the same level of production that I can? Right. And so I was heading out to Buffalo. And those of you that follow me on Facebook and LinkedIn, you may have seen this video the other day. Preparation is like one of my greatest skills. That is like one. I have like two things that I am exceptional at, and that is punctuality and preparedness. Like those are the two things that I can outdo almost anybody on. But I let the preparedness slip a little bit the other day. And it wasn't that I wasn't prepared. It was that I forgot something and I got in my own head and it got all messed up with it. So I got up and like I said, I always am super, super overly punctual. So I had a 2.5 hour trip. I needed to be at the place at 10:30. I ended up being there at like 10 to 10. So I was like 40 minutes ahead of time. Now, halfway on my way there, I realized I forgot some point of sale material that I left on my kitchen table that I got out the night before. I didn't even get ready the morning of. Right. I had gotten the night before, got everything I needed, put it on my kitchen table. I also made myself a couple of sandwiches because I didn't want to eat out, and I'm trying to eat a little bit more healthy. And I sat them there, and I realized like halfway there, an hour and a half in, we'll say, right, that I left those two things, right, and it really bothered me because those are kind of things that I pride myself on, right, is being prepared because I don't like dealing with people who are unprepared. Like it's one of the most upsetting things for me. And, was it the end of the world? No, the guy I was going to actually had some of this stuff already, and I could be back in 3 days with it. I'm going to be back Monday to bring him these things. So he was going to have enough between now and then. But it got my mindset completely jacked, right? I mean, there's nobody harder on me than myself. Like, and it's probably there's probably some mental things going on up there that are undiagnosed.
We
but
won't dive into that.
Yeah. But today we're not going to be there. But that's probably what I'm like I said, I'm my worst critic, right? So I'm an hour and a half into here, and that's all I can think about is I'm driving there for like an hour and a half. And I like to listen to podcasts and listen to books and try and learn as I'm going places. And I was actually listening to a book on prospecting. And like I'm just got on repeat in my head over and over again, just talking to myself, like, you're an idiot for leaving these things. Like, how did you manage to do this? Like, I'm just being so terrible to myself as I'm being there. And like in the grand scheme of things, doesn't matter, not even remotely, right?
Right.
And so what I went and I decided to do, and that's actually what led us to the music for our coach call this morning, was I went to something crazy up tempo because that's how I get out of a weird moods or mindset. Is I can only do it by forcing myself. And that's with either like crazy music where I'm like singing to myself in the car and I look like a lunatic, or I'm getting in the gym. Those are the only two ways I can get out of my head, right? And I was talking about it, and you're going to get to hear a little bit of my singing like everybody did the other day on my video, and it's amazing. In case you didn't know before, I am an amazing singer. Okay. So if people want to book me for their, corporate functions, birthday parties, I am here. Okay.
Oh yeah.
But there was a EDM version of Akon's song. And what is the name of the song? It's a Beautiful Day, to your point of what you said it is today. Right. And it just had a line in it that really got me going. And then it says, God, thank you for sunshine. Thank you for rain. Thank you for joy. And thank you for pain. It's a beautiful day. It's a beautiful day. And like, that's all it really says through it. And it like just repeats and repeats because it's an EDM and it's,
Oh yeah.
But it was like, I'm sitting there, I'm like, I'm just realizing, I'm like, man, it's right. I'm just in my head for no reason. And, it really got me thinking about, what people got to realize is when you're down or you're not feeling it, which we all are at times, right? We all have those moments where you're not feeling 100% or you don't want to be at work or you don't want to go do what you're going to do. And, we all are going to do it because you don't have a choice, right? You don't have a choice to go to work. Okay. But what's the product you're going to put out when you feel like that, right, Paul? It's not going to be very good. Right now, I could have went to that appointment with that same mindset of being down. But if I did, what was that client of mine going to get? It wasn't going to be very good. So I needed to change it. Right. So what I did was do that, and I got that. So what I would impress upon people is when you are feeling that way is if we're in a dealership setting, avoid other people because that can be co-misery is like one of the greatest things you will ever find in a car dealership.
Oh
you
yeah. We love to drag each other down.
Oh yeah, you can. It's like a national pastime of car dealership employees. Oh, you feel bad? Let me make you feel worse.
Right.
Like let's hash out all of our issues right now, right here. So stay away from somebody. Okay. The next thing is maybe it's go take a walk. For me at a dealership, that was it. A lot of times, like I need to get up and walk around. Like I said, for me, it's music. It's going to the gym. It's activity. So I'll leave it to you, Paul, to close out with the our portion of this. And then, like I said, for those of you listening on whether it's YouTube, on Apple Podcast or Spotify, you're going to hear Adam's portion after this. But Paul, what do you do to get yourself out of those spots where you're not feeling 100% or you're not feeling up to it?
Yeah, I think part of it is, we can talk about just, put on your happy face and go have a good day, and that's not easy to do. The best thing that we can do is you got to have somebody that you can like rely on. That's your battle buddy, right? Somebody that you could get on the phone, somebody that kind of understands what you're going through, right? They know you personally, they know you professionally, and they kind of understand, so when you talk about what's bothering you, they really can listen with empathy and they truly care. And that's one thing that, Adam and I have been for each other for a really long time. I mean, it's not uncommon for one of us to call each other at 10:30 at night, much to the chagrin of our families, and
Right.
just say, "Hey, dude, this happened. It's just been bugging me all day and I can't get it out of my head." And we kind of talk each other off the ledge. But I also have people, you develop these relationships. Funny that you talk about this, because I was just kind of down in my dauber about a few things over the past couple days, and I was at one of my recent visits, and one of the managers of the store, he's actually the GM slash VP of the group. He was kind of having a tough day too. And we were just kind of sitting there talking to each other. And we were able to really sit and just kind of just talk to each other and then build each other back up. And it was a great thing. And we both left like feeling way better about what was going on with our days and stuff. And it was just, you get that sometimes. And sometimes we feel like we don't want to talk to the people that are around us that we work with, because we feel like
Right.
that's somehow weakness, right? And that
Right.
that it makes them see us less. And maybe some people will. And I would just say avoid those people. But have a couple of people that you can just call on. I mean, I know Adam and I are both real busy, but I know that if we're both busy as heck and I call him and I say, "Hey, I need 5 minutes of your time. Can you call me right away?" He'll find 5 minutes. Right. And same thing with me. I'll step out and take a break or whatever. And you just need to have somebody that you can help recenter yourself, because it's so hard. If it was easy just to do it on our own, we just all would do it. Right. And nobody
Right.
would be mad. And nobody would be upset. Nobody would be down in their dauber. Nobody would have bad days. So you need somebody that can help pull you up and out of that, and just be that same thing for that other person. That's what I find first and foremost, because I am one of those people. Like if I get down, I get down, right? And I don't get
Right.
down real often, but when I do, man, it hits me like a freight train. So I need somebody that can just pull me out of it, and sometimes it's like, hey, a few kind words, a virtual hug, whatever the case may be. And sometimes it's like, hey, shut up and quit your whining,
Just
right?
go
This
do
is
something.
what
Yep.
you just
Yep.
got to suck it up and let's go. You're a champion, adjust your shield and attack. So, I mean, I think that that's the big thing. So, find yourself a battle buddy, find yourself a
No, that's great.
confidant, somebody
That's
that can
great
be there for
advice.
you.
That I like that a lot because, like, for me, like, and yeah, you hit on it, and I'm glad that you were vulnerable to enough to admit to people that you need it sometimes, right? And that's something and that's why I said that's my goal for me this year, and that's my goal for everybody in this automotive industry, because I know I'm not good at it, right?
Right.
Like I'm so used to being the person that everybody that knows me is I'm smiling like 24/7, like
Hmm.
even when I'm not feeling great, I'm smiling because
Yeah.
what I don't wanna do is I don't wanna affect others, right?
Yeah.
Like, that's always been my outlook on it, but so, like, from a person that, like, I'm actually taking your suggestion there to heart, right? Like, I'm thinking about that as you're saying it because it is true that you do need other people sometimes. Even when you think that you're the strongest person and that you can handle all of it, you can't, right?
Yeah.
And sometimes it is super helpful to get people out there, so thank you for that. That was awesome.
Yeah. And eventually that stuff just boils out. I was a master at like balling it up and cramming it down. Right. And same thing, like everywhere I go, people are like, "You're so happy, you're so upbeat and all that." And I'm like, yeah, but some days that's my clown mask. Right.
Right.
I get up each day and I paint it on so that it looks like I'm smiling, but inside, I'm just struggling to get through the day. And I think there are a lot of people that are like that. And I think in this day and age, we've gotten much better about talking about just mental health in general. And mental health isn't a bad thing, right?
No,
Mental
not at
health is
all.
just, hey, somebody's having a bad day, they need a hug, right? I mean, that's mental health. So I think we've become more aware of that. And the thing is just, there's zero way. It actually shows much more strength in an adult when they can reach out and be vulnerable
For
and just
sure.
say, hey, I'm struggling and I just need some help, right? Help me get back on track. That's strength. I mean, and it's powerful. And when somebody does that for you, all you want to do is be there to do that for them, right? So it's super
100%.
reciprocal.
Yeah.
So it's just one of those things that, once you get a couple of battle buddies in your life that you could do that with, man, it just like those things that feel crushing some days just really aren't, because they
No,
help
totally.
center you and help get you back on track.
Absolutely. So the only other thing I gotta go is I'm wearing my Bills hat today. For those of you that don't know, last night Josh Allen won the MVP. Okay. I need him to win the Super Bowl, but there's this guy, Patrick Mahomes, that keeps getting in the way. I'm not gonna reference whether or not I think he may be getting some help from the zebras that are on the field. I'm not throwing any conspiracies out there or
I think the
anything, but
Bills still have a chance to make the Super Bowl.
yeah, next year. There we go.
Oh,
Not now.
okay. I just,
I know you're not a big sports fan. That's okay. That's all right. But I am going to end my session of this with a go Bills. Okay. Go Josh Allen. And he also won the sportsmanship award, which was also awesome. So not
yeah.
only being the MVP, but also being one of the best guys on the field was awesome. So it made me happy to be a Bills fan. As you see, I got my Bills hat. I got Bills colors behind me. I am a pretty big fan. So that's my thing there. And that's going to be it for me today. Paul, I know you and Adam got
Yep.
something going on here in
Yep.
a couple of weeks or something. What do you got?
So April 2nd, we're going to be down in Atlanta, Georgia at the Pinnacle Training Center. We're partnered in the Pinnacle Training Center with Jonathan Dawson. We handle all of the F&I schools and classes. So April 2nd and 3rd, it's I can't tell you how great these sessions and seminars are. So how it works is you come in on the 2nd, we spend about a half a day just kind of getting to know each other in the afternoon. Then we'll go to a really good dinner. Jonathan usually takes us to the Brazilian steakhouses, which is phenomenal. And then the next day we come in and we have a full day seminar at about 4:00, 4:30. We release you back to head back to your stores. It is absolutely amazing because you get my content, which I'm not saying it's amazing just because of my content, but it kind of is. But you get Adam Marburger's content, so he brings a totally different kind of energy that if you've never experienced it, you just gotta experience it.
Mhm.
Um, so you get him, you get me, you get Jonathan Dawson, and Jonathan Dawson brings. If you want to talk about somebody that is ridiculously good at psychology and sales psychology and just unpacking things and showing you ways to phrase things, ways to bring things up in different non-confrontational ways. He is the GOAT. Period. End of story. He's the
Yeah,
GOAT.
he'll get you to think about things that you'd never thought about before,
Oh,
even
absolutely.
people
And
that have
you
been
will
in it
leave
forever.
this thing so charged up, it'll be ridiculous. And you will go back and have an immediate impact on your numbers, an immediate impact on your store's numbers. So go and talk to your GM, your GSM, your owner, and say, hey, April 2nd and 3rd, I need to get involved. The price of admission, reach out to us if you know that, but the price of admission covers everything with the exception of your flight. So we feed you, we put you up, and you come in and you get some for less than what it would cost you for what your gross is, what your PVR should be on one service contract. You
Right.
can come and get this stuff, and it is ridiculous. So reach out to us.
So
Reach
where do
out
they go
to
to find this? Do they go to that website or how do they get it?
probably the best way would be to reach out to Adam Marburger or myself, and just ping us on a direct message. We're going to start to do some advertising for this here shortly,
Sure.
where we're going to put out our marketing campaigns. But yeah, if you want to just, Paul.Brown at AscentDealerServices.com, Adam.Marburger at AscentDealerServices.com, or if you just go to AscentDealerServices.com or go to the Academy or go to our Facebook page and just say,
Oh, there's
hey,
lots of
interested
different
in the
ways they can get a
Pinnacle,
hold of you.
yeah, you can find us. We're not hard to find. But it will be I don't care how many you've been to. I don't care if you've been to 5 schools or whatever. This will be the best coaching that you've ever had in the automotive industry. I promise.
Well, awesome. I hope a lot of people take advantage of that. You can never have enough training in any business, and like you said, you guys bring a lot to it. Jonathan brings a lot to it, and you're going to get a lot of different angles on something in one specific spot, like you said, for less than what you're going to make on a service contract. So to me, it's an absolute no-brainer. So if any of you are interested, reach out to either Paul or Adam and they can get you set up. If not, we look forward to talking to you guys all again next week. Hopefully you guys hit it out of the park when you're listening to this. Crush your day, crush your week. Everybody go sell some cars.
Yes, let's go get them.